Well, good afternoon, everybody. Um, this is Heather slash Hetty, known as Alive in Me for my personal account on Twitter, and also for epilepsy, um, and or pretty much all other, I have several, like I've said, I have several different types of illnesses. So you can pretty much reach out to me for many. Um, Another big one for my past, but will always be one that I reach out to others big time with is addiction, because it played a huge role with my epilepsy. As for I could be seizure free and could have been seizure free after my first brain surgery had an addiction not taken place in my life. So I will update you on that in a moment. Um, this is for actually a great friend who wants a video of the quickest testimony I can possibly give within 7 minutes. So here I try to go. Um, I didn't grow up knowing anything about Jesus. I had no idea who God was. And God somehow still watched over me. He watched over any type of cultish like events coming toward me and just made me just stay away and step away and think, wow, that's just too strange. However, I was never presented with Jesus until I was about 19 years old. And that was after I got married to my now ex-husband. And I even debated on leaving him for that because the way he presented it was so just strong. It was very in a coarse manner, and that's not how it should present it, especially if you met. And the way you met was just, we were great friends, and things were just the way that they were. And then he kind of threw Jesus in my face, told me that Jesus he loves more. And it really hurt because growing up with nothing, you'll never understand that. So, beside the point, I was seizure free then. My seizures were controlled. And that wasn't a big thing at the point. I almost left him for that though. But then something in my heart, it had to have been just Jesus somehow talking to me saying, give it a try, Heather, give it a try. So I did. I did the whole 9 yards. However, he cheated on me. Even during my whole about 4 weeks into it, he was a Marine and was gone often and had temptation enter his life. And I had been hurt as a child with my dad doing the same to my mom, and I was kind of her counselor, and I knew so many stories, and it hurt. And it was my goal never to ever, ever, ever have it happen in my life, which is probably why I got married so early, just to form that family that I was always wanting to have lived as a child. So when that happened, our marriage just fell apart. Not only with him cheating on me, but then also me forth moving out and cheating on him, and in such just horrific ways. And you can find that on my blog at www.hiswill, it's number four, me, his will for me dot blogspot.com. And it's going to be several down, and I'll post it on epilepsy cures on Twitter for you. But it just explains the way that still God watched over me during everything when I was going, doing so wrong. And He just had this plan because He knew of the circumstances I'd go through. And we left each other, we got back together, we left each other, we got back together. And finally, the last time we're sitting there planning on leaving each other, drank some wine, got pregnant. God had his plans. I looked at it, and my ex wanted to abort that child, which is an amazing child, Tori, today. And she also has epilepsy as well, but she's just an amazing kid. And I'm so glad that I ever kept hung on to her and never ever thought twice. It led to some horrific times with my ex and I. It led from one state to another, and then finally, after my first brain surgery, because my seizures got really bad during my pregnancy, and no one understood it in the family. He sure didn't want to understand it because it really interrupted a lot of what he was progressing to try to enforce in his life, such as college, which I commend him for today. However, family should always come first, and being a Christian, so-called, he didn't understand that. So he was placing school first before his wife and child. And so I had to move away. I had to go back to my family and find the right doctor, in which God absolutely, even before I found him, guided me to the right doctor. And that, mind you, was it led me to my first brain surgery, and we went back to Texas 4 days after I moved there is when he beat me. So it was about 2 months after my first brain surgery, my ex beat me. And, fortunately back then, the medication I was on, phenobarbital, fully controlled my seizures so well that even that huge stress, it didn't break through mm, that type of stress. But the problem is that my body, having been on so much, led me to overdosing, and I almost lost my life. But during it all, when I moved back to Arizona, I just was called somehow to this church, this sign that I saw in purple called Cornerstone Christian Fellowship. And I started going, I started learning about Jesus, and that's where I found him, and I clung to him. Went through another brain surgery. I had met the perfect man of my life. We got married there. After our divorce, my divorce finally went through, and it took time because God truly wanted me to forgive. And once I forgave and asked for forgiveness from my ex, because neither of us were perfect, he saw my husband and I through, and we actually had the perfect little family in our eyes through Jesus. And now we're actually adopting our daughter together because she sees him as our dad. And I'm about to go through my third brain surgery. And that's all I can find here. God bless you all.